Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. Poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom, to jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Witamy wszystkich na 407 warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Dzisiaj mamy niedzielę, 18 października 2020 roku, a tematem jest druga część przetłumaczonego 349 warsztatu poszukiwaczy wiedzy. Jest to tłumaczenie z języka angielskiego. Czas przetłumaczony na dzisiaj to jest od godziny 31 minut do 2 godzin 37 minut, od 2:52 do 2:57, od 3:14 minut do 3:21 minut. Po warsztacie zapraszam do rozmów, zadawania pytań, na które postaramy się odpowiedzieć wspólnie. A teraz już zaczynamy oglądać.
We have made all the knowledge seekers wise.
Well, we have a couple of comments in the YouTube chat. Stephen says, so the sun is the fast target and the planets are trying to catch it?
No. The sun is what it throws away, the rays of it at higher order, and when they slow down to a given field, then the other fields from that particle try to arrive to it. And in that process of transition, they create light when they interact with the physical condition and magnetosphere of the field which created the Earth.
Okay, but what about the sun itself in relation to the galaxy? Let's say the sun is
Galaxies have
moving
created
through
the
space.
same. The same.
So is the sun is following a path that has been already made for it by the magnetic fields, correct? The fields come
Correct.
first, and the sun's following that. So are the planets following the sun in
The
the
same.
same way? Yeah,
Same position.
I think that's what Stephen is trying to say. It's like the planets are playing catch up to the sun, which is playing catch up to the center of the galaxy, and the galaxy's playing catch up to the center of the universe or some other
Yeah,
center.
but it's not only to catch up, to be connected, to be the target, but is that target and its position is amalgamation of all the fields within that galaxy and the universe, which gives it the position. The same with the Earth. The rays of the sun led to the creation of the center of the Earth, what we call creation of its magma. But once that magma is created, the position of the Earth is not only dictated by the sun, but is created by the other entities within the structure of the solar system. And by certain measures, by the fields of the galaxy, and by another certain measures, by the fields of the unicos.
Okay, so there's another comment in YouTube from Dar who says, so thought is ray and is stronger. Sent by the mind, it creates position, and we imagine or call it directed by mind. And then the body gets pulled into it and manifests according to the environment. So we are all gods.
We are part of it. We are created by its fields. And we manifest ourselves according to the position and the place and the field of the strength accordingly. I made man in the image of myself because I made man from the fields of myself. It's not there is something God called God separated and then other things came in it.
Okay,
The reality is not two things, the creator and us. It's us created from the fields of the creator.
Mm-hmm. So this gets into a question from Thomas in the Q&A, who says, you always say that only fields of the same or similar strength will interact with one another. Yet it is the difference of strength which creates the gradient that produces the motion of the fields. Can you more clearly explain this?
You see, when we send a field ahead, because we sent it, it carries part of the strength of connection of the fields with us. It means because it came from us, has that field strength connection. So it's not something abnormal. It comes from us, so it has the connection field from us to start with, but of the higher order than we carry. And because it's created by us, it carries part of us, has a connection with us. It's the same thing with the creator. We come from the fields of it, so we have connection to it. Some of this microphone is open. And this process is the same.
Well, we have several hands that have popped up here, Mr. Keshe, so I think we have some...
Let's
we've
hear from
started
the
some
one we never
questions.
heard before.
I think that would have to be Benjamin. Benjamin, would you like to go ahead first here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello, my name is Benjamin Meyer. I'm from Austria, and I would like to ask about a system I've been working on lately. It's a flight system, a Maglev coil flight system. Maybe I can share a picture of the system so you can see clearly what I'm talking about. Is this possible?
Can you explain to us what the system does?
Yeah,
Or how
so you've been talking about that whenever we want to achieve flight, we need to connect to a certain gravitational magnetic field strength of the point of destination, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
And I tried to do this with my system, but I think it's too weak to achieve this task. So I tried to create a base reference point where the system can pushes away from it, if you understand what I mean.
Instead of going by gravitational, you choose the path of magnetical. This we understand. This you need when you're taking off from a planet. So you're approaching it from the reverse. Instead of getting pulled to, you push yourself away. We see this, you're not wrong, let me explain to you. We see this with the flight system of UFO over Jerusalem over Christmas, if you understand it. So in a way, you're not in the wrong path. If Rick could find this video, we saw it over Jerusalem. The UFO, it suddenly takes a flashing vertical takeoff. Flashing vertical takeoff is not by changing gravity, is using the magnetical field of the Earth in a reverse condition to push you away. This has been explained in a number of papers. In a way, the way you approach it is very correct, you're not wrong, but you have to understand it, is we have two ways of flight. We can reduce the gravitational field of us, let's say in a flight system in respect to Earth, or we connect, let's say, to the gravitation of the moon and it pulls us to it. The other way is we match the magnetosphere field of the planet and the push of it throws us up. This is extremely dangerous way. I always said, if you listen to some of the teaching, it's like going on top of the Eiffel Tower and jumping up without a parachute and hoping to survive. It has to be done. It sometimes is done by what we call courageous, what we call man of the space. But that process is the extreme danger with it is that your shield, magnetic shield protection is very, very thin. Very thin. So if, for example, there's an aircraft above you, you hit it, or you literally decimate it. So what you talk about, increasing the magnetical, is actually the correct way of flight to take off. You tune into the gravitational magnetic of the moon, or you create Earth gravitational field in a way stronger than Earth, in the same strength field, and it just zaps you away. If you could see, I think Rick can get hold of it. The flight over Jerusalem, January, Christmas of a few years ago, is a true flight system. The reasons for it I've explained before.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a version of the video that's not from one of the news agencies that would tend to want to put a copyright on it and so on. Still looking here. I'm not sure if I can get that.
Okay, carry on, Mr. Meyer.
Thank you very much for answering the question. I just would like to add one more thing, which is not clear to me. Do I need to create opposite rotation to achieve this effect, or need the rotation of these both fields need to be in the same in the same direction, in the same line of movement?
I go back into what they call enlighten, or give you some information. If you look, we don't see flying objects coming in the same direction or flying in the same way, moving up or moving down. They don't always come from the north to west or west to north or whatever. So the directional flow is not that important if you understand the strength of the flow and the inertia of the flow. The reason you cannot fly, because you have not created the field inertia. Or you have created a field inertia, but you haven't created a field mg. This is one of the reasons most of the people who work with the Keshe Foundation technology never succeed, because they have not understood this. A flight system of the plasmatic condition is a combination of mg, I, strength of the physical structure, and the soul. And you have to create a system that encompasses all five. That's why we gave you this cup of five, for you to start practicing. Try to see if you can match. Try to see if you can replicate. So when you try to achieve lift or flight and you don't, you have to see which part you have achieved. If you go back to 1975 and Searle flight system, where the motion of the gravitational magnetic field of the number of solid magnets to the speed and rotation has created lift of the vehicle, they have created the inertia strength. And because it's a huge number of magnets circulating with a higher speed within each other, they create a spectrum of the fields of the matter state of the Earth. If they could create the mg, magnetic gravitational field of the Earth, then they can fly easily. But then you have the problem of what is the object inside it, would it survive? So you have to create multiple conditions and systems. You cannot do, I think if you look at the Chinese system of the flights with the space travel, is that system. We have created the mg, the I, the S, the M, and the SF in it. When you speak to those who were present in the trials in Sanya, we could hear not the noise of the motors, but the interaction of the fields of the two systems with each other. It was like talking to each other. We could hear space noise. This is how we talk. We create emotion in the direction of the soul and soul of physicality, and then the interaction with the matter states which we have put in as vocal voice becomes the sound we create. Why do we talk our emotion? Why and how can we explain? You have seen, we explain our emotion so rapidly with words, with physicality. We transfer the fields of our soul in the strength of understanding the emotion between the physicality and the soul. And that feels in touching the vocal box, which is of different strength, become the voice. We don't have a nerve system to communicate, send the information. Such a thing has to vibrate to make this. The soul of the man, in interaction of its fields with the strength of the fields of what we call another fields of tissues, made that tissue vibrates, creates that noise, becomes our voice. This is why we can speak so fast, because our emotion in interaction with the fields of the other entity, which is flexible to move in interaction, becomes noise, becomes our voice, becomes the voice of our soul, becomes the voice of our emotion. Mankind has not even understood this. We just got a voice box. How come we lose our voice? But we still think, we still have emotion. Because in so many ways, this vibration, tissues need to be continuously charged, that they can respond to the fields of emotion of the soul of the man and the physicality soul within the brain of the man. That's why we can explain our emotions so easily with our voice, with our face, with our eyes. If it's of the certain strength, become tear, and if it's of the certain strength, become laughter. Now maybe you understand how when you think, you talk. Because the strength of the man has created his vocal box in a way of the strength of his emotion. And then the two, when they vibrate in connection with the soul of physicality, become noise, becomes emotion, become laughter. That's why messages are not sent one by one. Messages are sent by the strength of the emotion, and it's like a ray of the sun. When it hits the vocal point, the vocal cords becomes noise. I can make you talk without the voice, without the vocal box. Test something. I used to do this a lot with my children. Put your head against your child's head, ear to ear, and start making small noises. And then listen to what they respond. And then do the same, do it with your soul, and see how they respond. Children are easy to do. Men, when you do, if you do it with your wife or whatever, you have a preset. Children are there to hear the noise of their soul. This is one of the ways you enhance peace in the soul of your children. Just put their ear to the ear and hum and see what they hear. Because at the point of the ear is somewhere where the two energies of the two souls meet. We create a temporary condition of interaction. You create a different bond with your child when you do this. We do this when we make love to our partners. When we face to face, the two hearts come, the two souls of the physicality create a magic point in between. We know this, but we never understood this. Then you can do some simple things where you think to your child and say, now we go separate, don't talk. You see, he moves his head away. Man has forgotten half of part of creation. When you have a child, when your wife is pregnant, or in that position, when you talk to your child, put your head on the ear, on the womb of the wife, of the mother, and you communicate with the soul of your child. You give the information which it translates inside to what you have sent. Because it carries the knowledge of the soul, it carries the emotion of your soul. My child, I love you. Papa is waiting for you. Men talk to the children, touch and transfer. This is how you elevate the soul of your child. That is how you guide it through the path. Understand the reality about the creation, then you can create guidelines, you can create paths for everything to be the way it should be. The problem with the present knowledge is that we just create a child and it's for it to grow. It's the responsibility of the father more than the mother, as she's the carrier of the one part, to transfer that energy, to transfer and create a condition of evolution and the emotion of the soul of the child at the point of inception. The responsibility of the fathers is not just to give and make the first seed and that's it. You enhance the body of the woman. You enhance the womb. They enhance the condition of the physicality for the elevation of the soul of the child. Being a father is not just, as they say, shake and go. You have to take responsibility and position with it. And a lot of parents don't know, don't understand. It's not bonding, it's elevating. It's totally different concept, totally different understanding. And it's the way the universe works. The Creator did not create us and left us on our own. Forever, He sent us messengers to elevate our soul. He sent us the condition and different way for many people to understand. And in so many ways, through His own soul, elevates our souls to reach a new condition. Any other question?
Perhaps we can hear from John Bliven next.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Hello, Mr. John. John.
I got a question. It has to do with like with the GANs material, let's say CO2 GANs. When we make it, we put our intention and our love into the process when we make it. If we have an elevated soul and we put an aspect of our soul into that GANs material, is it strengthened by orders of magnitude more? Whereas before it may be carried a field strength of 5 feet. When we do it with an elevated soul, it carries a strength much bigger. And can we get the GANs material to light up if our soul is strong enough?
You can. You got to go back to understanding of the property of carbon. Carbon has a specific condition, and it's very much like deuterium. It's a construction of the deuterium in an open span of the universe, and is a line of communication, connection with all other fields, because the carbon or deuterium in so many ways in orientation become the diverter and reflector of the fields of the magnetic field of the plasma. In the physical matter, we use prism to change or deflect the light to see different colors. In the universe, the only thing which deflects and reflects the fields of the magnetic field in motion, which man never understood. Many tests has been done to show the light can bend or the fields can bend, is the position interaction with the sphere of the, what we call carbon, magnetosphere. We see that clearly within the structure of the neural system of the man. The switching of a carbon creates diamond structure or superconductor, and it reflects and deflects it. So the carbon, only carbon, when you speak about CO2, or when you use deuterium, you create that point of reflection and deflection of the rays of magnetic field. You cannot destroy it. You spread it, you break it up, and you link it to another point. In a way, if you put a reflector mirror in the ray of the sun, you can reflect it to where you want. This is what carbon does in the line of the connection, what we call the communication properties of carbon. Then, if you understood this, and you understood the structure of the soul, then using this, the fields of the carbon, then you can elevate the soul. You got to understand, the gases we make, you look at CO2, we create, and we always said, we create the plasma of carbon between the plates. And the interaction of the fields from outside coming in with the water creates CO2. So in essence, from day one, I showed you the line of the communication and the key to interaction with the fields of the universe by creating the plasma of the carbon. And this is what most of you have not, what we call, mature to understand. The reason I started with CO2 from the first GANs was to show you the connection with the universal line of connection. You call it carbon-14, you call it deuterium. The mirror is a reflector of the field at the strength of the light on this planet. The reflector of the fields of the universe is done by carbon. Or deuterium, which in its combination gives you the carbon. Or the behavior of carbon. So when you want to elevate the soul, understand you're using CO2. You need the carbon. But you have to understand the field of the carbon that you can use. And in that line, in that light, you can elevate any soul. This is the key to elevation of the soul of the man and any creature. The elevation and mutation of the soul comes through the interaction of the fields using the energy of the carbon. But unfortunately, On this planet, you have the field, but none of you have managed to separate it, that it becomes and stays the plasma of carbon before it interacts with the oxygen fields to become a CO2. Now you understand one of the key, what are called knowledges, which I gave you from day one. After 20 years, maybe some of you for the first time understand. Without carbon, without the magnetic field of the plasma of the carbon, man cannot travel anywhere in the universe. Man cannot communicate and transport and transmute and elevate anything. You have an apple, you got to get it to the market. You need a means of transportation. You have a thought, you want to elevate another soul. You have to understand you need a means of transportation. And carbon in CO2 is locked to the matter state of this planet. But in essence, if you look, when I gave you the cups, the 5 cups, I told you to place 1 cup on the center. That's where you collect the fields. You have to develop a knowledge how to collect fields without them converting into the matter state of the GANs. Then you can elevate any soul. You can make connection with any soul. But you allow it to be transferred in the dimension of plasma. Any other?
Thank
Do
you.
you understand?
Yes,
I think you should understand. Pardon?
I'm going to try some new experiments.
New experience. We keep you busy.
Yeah.
You see, to do it, you're aware of experiment which happened in one of our labs a few months ago, where the person could make contact and understanding and like a soul visual of both parents who passed away. In that structure, in that process, the only thing which was created was the creation of the plasma of the carbon and deuterium. Those systems, the mixtures, were set to create this. And then you create the channels. If you look at one of the pictures which I put out last week, clearly states this. And maybe now, maybe we can understand more of it, what it means. What it means, let me guess it. If you look at one of the rays here, each one has a carbon strength connection. And one of these, which are near to each or connected to another, has a connection to the soul with all of them have a strength through carbon connection. Don't forget, orientation of the carbon in matter states goes from superconductor to resistor, from graphite or graphene to diamond. Depends on pressure, depends on the magnetic field pressure, plasmatic field pressure, which we create with the emotion. We can be connected to as many as what is created in the universe through these fields interactions. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Maybe we can hear from Gatwa now.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning, Dr. Gatwa.
Yeah, mine is to thank you so very much for your, not only for your excellent teaching, but for your commitment, both financially and otherwise, to advance this science to the whole world, to bring it close to the people, regardless of their social status. So now I'm very glad that finally, even the poor will have access to the enhancement unit. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now,
Part of our work, let me explain to you this. Part of our work is by setting up in this enhancement unit centers in each city, our collaborators are entitled to the profit from the corporation. The Keshe Foundation, what we call gain or income, will support those who cannot afford you paying for using the system. This is an agreement we have with everyone else. The return on our investment by those who can afford to pay for the usage becomes in a way fed back through the authorization of the structure which is to be set up by the Universal Council and the Earth Council and Keshe Foundation to give access freely to those who can't afford. So what we see, 30% of the usage of the system across the planet will be absolutely free by those who cannot financially afford paying for it. This is how we set it up. And so even in Africa, the rich Africans will pay for those who don't have, and we make it more accessible.
thank you very much. That is a perfect arrangement.
Now you
Now
have to
I have
come
a
with the rest
question.
of it, Dr. Gatwa.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm very excited. This is, and I very much look forward to seeing these enhancement units in every city in Kenya in the next decade or so. Now
But
I have a question.
you have to set the structure and the basic financial back of it, that the rest can be done.
Sure, we'll do that. No problem.
Thank you very
Now
much.
I have
Carry
a
on.
question. You have told us about your commitment and financial contribution, and those of other philanthropists who are interested. And I'm wondering about countries, individual countries or governments. What are their responses?
We wait for what we call individuals to come forward. A number of individuals have already come forward, committing and gradually committing more and more to be. And we will see this as part of the structure that we will commit Keshe Foundation to a larger work internationally. We do not reach what we call people to come in. They're coming on their own accord. They are, in a way, bringing a new understanding to what they've been waiting for. Many rich people have been waiting for this to happen, for the Keshe Foundation to take steps, and they will come. We give a hand and they give a hand, and together we change the position. And in so many ways, we need to understand this position, that collectively we can bring the change. I have put my backing, and I know a number of people, wealthy people, have started backing it too. This is for them to disclose who they are or when it's disclosed, but otherwise everything will go on the banner of the Keshe Foundation, Austria manufacturing. and it will be stayed as a shareholding. Those who invest to have an income from, we allow them to do. Those who want philanthropists to be, to expand the horizon of the technology in different nations, will be the same. We look to carry 80% majority shareholding in every corporation, which means we finance 80% of it. And the rest can come in as it is and the way they want.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. I'm showing you some pictures, which is from Iran. In Iran, the Keshe Foundation has been registered as a company, and they have started delivering, as you can read on the side of it in Farsi, I'll translate. It says, one cup, one life. Keshe Foundation Iran has started distributing one cup, one life freely to the population. And to do this with the COVID which is running in Iran, they need financial support to expand this, to be able to reach this to every man. There is a bank account in Iran. Keshe Foundation approach them, they give it to you, as other Iranians around the world are contributing to this account. And it's all accountable by the central government. It's a registered organization supported by the what we call administration. They will expand this to Iran. And then from there, as we've seen very soon in Brazil and the rest of it. And in this process, we need to understand life has to be, saving life has to be free at the point of demand for those who cannot afford it. And this week, the Iranian Keshe Foundation have put all three out, as you see it. I thank the head of the Keshe Foundation in Iran and the operation of it in delivering this knowledge so freely across Iran. The Iranian supporters were dischanted as they were contacted by the poison of the Keshe Foundations trying to disturb their operation, and now they picked up and they are going solid to serve the nation. The same will come when we make one nation out of this planet. Brazil is on the same move with the same operation of the water distribution. We will, once it's completed, the factory set up in a short time, we'll distribute the share of the Keshe Foundation freely across the Brazilian nation. The company, the structure of the company is in progress to be done. Then we have ordered the machinery to be manufactured in China to be shipped to Brazil in the next few weeks. And then we set up a permanent location with a reputable organizations or companies in Brazil for distribution of the water across Brazil through their operation. Yeah, as I said, there are many, many large corporations around the world who their heads are listening to these programs. And now that we start committing, they start committing. You will see the same in China and other points of the world. Any other question? Dr. Katwa, carry on, please.
Hi. If you could say who you are and where you're from, that would be good as well. Thank you.
I'm Zhenya. I'm from Jerusalem. So I was excited to hear about the video from Jerusalem. It sounded interesting.
If you can look that up in the internet under Jerusalem UFO video, and there's a number of entries on that, but unfortunately the news channels have it all kind of sewn up right now or something. It's hard to get a free video to play, but you can look it up that way.
Okay, I'm familiar with your foundation only for about 2 weeks. I was excited about it because I was interested in that field of metaphysics for some years. So to sum it up, your knowledge that you try to deliver, it was like the missing puzzle for me when I saw a video of Nicholas a couple years ago where he were talking about the lock potentials. So that's what hooked me up because I was very interested in that field. So from my understanding of plasma and all the fields was that it's like a divided condition of a balanced condition that makes motion. And motion is all what, it's like the initial particle that you call it, that makes them Maglev fields, which are just the same fields that goes to in opposite directions and interact with each other. So I'm trying to understand this topic very helps me to see as lenses, like every condition, every environment are like different condition of lenses that interact with each other. So to try to understand the cup concept, which I'm not familiar yet, I'm trying to figure it out because I was watching what you, Keshe, were showing about a half hour ago or an hour ago on the board. So my question is how to, like, from my point of view, I see those cups as optical, like they make optical conditions with each other that with interaction with each other make different conditions that allow some fields to pass through and some fields not. And it's very hard, it's hard to describe pictures in our minds, sometimes in words. So I tried to put this question online and to see if Mr. Keshe might interpret in a certain way to see your reaction in a topic of optics, to see the fields as in an optics manner.
Thank you very much, first of all, Shalom. And in so many ways, you're not far wrong. The cups are set not as optics, but as a field interaction system in respect to each other. Starting from weakest in what we call gravitational strength, but strongest in gravitational attraction, and vice versa in magnetical. And as they create that field expansion, they interact with the inertia, which we have created by matter state of the field's Maglev system. And in what those two interact, and what we have put up as a soul, then it creates a dimension of the physicality of what to be. In a way, you call it optics, we call it interaction of fields. What is created from the bottom in interaction, that's the essence of the creation of cup number 5, the MG, in essence is all the same in all the plasmas in the universe. What that field in a given position and condition in interaction with its source which created it, creates that inertia, which creates this matter condition, which in that process, the interaction with what fields the inertia and the source create leads to the creation of the soul's strength. And then interaction of the solar strength with the two which have created it gives it the physicality and the solar physicality. In a way, if you put it this way, the magravs, the cup number 5 becomes the source. Cup number 4 is created from the interaction of the source and what creates it, which is the sun, which creates that inertia of itself by itself in respect to its position. And then the inertia and the magnetic gravitational field of 2 leads to the creation of the soul. And then the soul in interaction with the 2 creates the physicality. This is why when we get to the certain points on a mountain, we see a tree line. No tree grows beyond that line. Because the inertia in that position in respect to the magrav of the planet does not support soul of a plant. That an interaction leads to the creation of the plant. Now we understand the process in its true meaning. This is why we see certain creatures cannot live or exist in certain positions, because the interaction of the fields of the inertia and the mg of the planet does not support the soul of creation. This is why we have this. You see this especially in Middle East, in Jerusalem, most probably been there for thousands of years. Some water wells have fish in it, some water wells don't. Depends on the depth and interaction with the planet and the mixture of the water which runs through it. You have waters which run for centuries with no life in them, or certain minute life, but some water lines runs and they create life, fish, because it's according to if the interaction of the inertia, field the strength of the matter states in that environment with mg allows the creation of the soul of what can be living in that water which crosses and leads to the creation of manifest itself as a fish. Now we understand the process of creation on this planet and everywhere else. A running field, like a water, creates a running structure, like a fish. And then how the fish wants to grab, to stand, or to walk, or to hold on to whatever leads to the creation of other entities, as we know. You call it optics. We call it the field transformation. I hope we answered you.
Yeah, you sort of answered me. Because we all have our own definitions, so it's something that I have to meditate and think about before I react to it. So thank you, Mr. Keshe.
I left you to meditate by picture. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have Eric. Perhaps he can come in next.
Yes, Mr. Keshe. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Who could you tell us who you are, where you are from?
I am Eric Vanover. I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky in the USA. And you...
With a Dutch family name.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes, my dad, I think my grandfather was Dutch. I apologize. For
what?
Well, for all my, I guess all the way the Dutch treated you, and
We have a
in
gorgeous
Belgium
position
and
with Dutch.
Netherlands.
Dutch Holland is our home. Is the basis of the Keshe Foundation.
Well, I knew that you met good people there too. So
many good people. We still do.
So when you're talking about inertia, so when we're talking about life in the deep sea versus, you also talk like there's an intelligent beings that are in the sky too, right? So they have this
Intelligence is everywhere.
So if they're to make
Intelligence
their
is
own,
everywhere.
so if they make their own cups, they would have the same MG cups, but they would have different inertia cups as you go up in depth and up into the sky.
If it is within the boundary of the planet Earth, yes.
And going back to the MG cup, like if I want to go to the moon, am I separating my nano-coated spiral zincs away from each other, or pushing them together to change the gap? Or am I introducing another material?
You have to introduce the MG of the moon.
And how do I figure out what the MG of the moon is? I guess that's what I'm asking.
We have the facilities to measure certain amount of the fields of the universe at the moment. Partially, the matter state or the inertial state of the surface of the moon gives us a partially clear indication in respect to magra of the moon as well. You got to realize any entity within the solar system has a common denominator, magnetic strength. So you have to find the solar magnetic strength and then the position strength of the position of the moon, and the strength of its inertia will give you the surface of the moon. Then you can choose where on the moon you want to land, the surface you see, and then there are options when you approach. You change to matter state, physical state matter of the surface, and you can position yourself anywhere, in the liquid, in the different depth of the planet, or on the surface or above it.
So I could change myself using the,
you need, in a
the
way,
physicality cup into
in a way, if you
beetle
go
or
one,
something.
Yeah, I'll try to go back on the board if it's trying to fix it. Can I draw with a pen on the board? You have to extend the knowledge. Here, just wait 1 second. If you look, we had the mg of the Earth. And that mg of the Earth, then we had the inertia of the Earth. But this in totality has another mg of the sun. So when we want to travel anywhere in the solar system, we have to tune to be within this range of the mg of the sun. then we stay within the boundary of the solar system. So our common denominator is this, then the common denominator of mg of the moon, and then position of what we call inertia. The inertia could be liquid, could be gas, or could be solid. You want on the surface, you want to be in the depth of the liquid, you want to be in the gaseous above or on the land. So our Magra system has to include mg. We want to travel outside the solar system. We have to consider our galaxial position. We want to go to submatter. We have to understand the submatter condition. Now the knowledge makes sense. You want to travel into the center of the universe, then you have to understand the universal field, what the strength is that. And then you do the same with which universe in unicos or to the dimension of the creator. Nothing changes. It's just how we adapt, what strength we use.
So when you're in reference to like our bodies and you're coming up with the cures and body enhancement unit and using Ganses to cure yourself. So we use, do we look at our body the same way? Like our body has an mg too, or we have an inertia for certain organs? And but I know we have an overall physicality in reference to the mg of the earth, but
yes,
does our body,
you have to do the same. You have to do the same with the soul.
Okay.
Yes. Then you do the same with the soul of the copper or the zinc. This is why one of the reasons we embedded as part of the structure we've been explaining for some time, the soul of the head of the Keshe Foundation in the system. That's a point of reference for humanity. The soul of the humanity and a peaceful soul of humanity. Now maybe you understand why.
So that's how you were able to figure out how to cure people of different diseases and stuff, because you have a reference just like you've set up here for any entity, right?
Yes.
I've been trying to get my head around this for like 7 years now.
Now you got around it, or it's got around you?
I don't know, but I'm starting to feel like it's looking like morning here. You always say good morning. You always say good morning when people figure out something.
Oh, you say good morning, yeah.
You always say good morning.
I hope it's a very good. And what has to be?
To get away from the fields of the Earth's surface.
Oh, it can be 100 feet off the ground. You're still at it. It still captures you.
I know.
We have facilitated system inside that within 3-4 meters we are pretty safe.
Okay, I'm just saying in general.
You want to introduce who you are? Just jumping in as Brad.
The gravitational fields are different on different places of the Earth.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling you.
Now, would you like to introduce who you are? You're just coming as a Brad. Nobody knows
you. Oh, my name's Brett Baggett. I've been around the Keshe Foundation since almost the beginning. I'm part of the core team, and I've been doing stuff behind the scenes for a long time.
Thank you very much, Brad. Brad is one of the 12 members of the core team, initial team of the Keshe Foundation, United States citizen. Thank you very much, Brad.
You're welcome. Any questions for me?
No, thank you very much. It's nice to see you back on the screen. Thank you very much. Any other question?
Well, Thomas asks in the Q&A, so we envision the location and we are drawn to it?
If you elevate your soul to reach that position, yes, you can. Understanding the process, just not to visualize it, is to understand the reason why and how. Any other question?
Question from Skywalker in the Q&A. If you produce tritium and water is separated from oxygen, it can cause an explosion when the steam combines?
What?
I think he's mixing several different
Chemistry,
technologies.
yeah. Yep. Next question.
Wait.
We can advise Skywalker to look up tritium GANs and then...
No, he means if you mix deuterium and you mix it with grease, then it causes a massive explosion. Just want to let you know that. So don't do that.
Grease?
Grease with deuterium.
Well, it doesn't mention grease at all in the statement, but anyway, that's again a different technology that we don't deal with. So
yep. Okay. The next.
Okay. Dan says in the Q&A, or some question from the group, what plasma field forms between a nano iron coil and a normal one in salt water? What if I have? What plasma field forms between a nano iron coil and a normal one in salt water? But what if I have 3 iron coils, one of which is nano-coated with fire?
They're all different conditions. It creates different magnetic field strength, that's all.
And it goes on, in the liquid environment, we have the field of H3, but also FeO, iron oxide. What field do we have between the coils in a gaseous environment?
It's all the definition of the field strength separation. What that gaseous creates, what does the plasma interaction between nano layer and the metal itself create? Everything you add or you put, you create or you introduce a new dimension.
How would they find out what plasma field forms between these items?
It's just measuring the strength of it. It's like we know the zinc and copper creates a near enough carbon field. Comes by experience till in the coming time, measuring tools can tell you exact precise.
In the meantime, is that part of feeling the fields, or is that...
Understanding the strength difference and how and why. You see, iron and nano iron are 2 different field strength, even they're on top of each other. That's why they are separated. The top layer of nano has totally different strength than the one next to the matter state. Each layer creates its own fields, each layer creates its own condition. And then they collect it for that city. When it reaches the target, then you're informed that the group has to start working out the race.
Even for Iran, it can be sent?
Yes, we are already negotiating a number of sets to go to Iran.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. And second one, that's a very great objective, at least for me. Second one is, I had a question if there is any other universes that exist which don't, or which use the same law in inversely? Is there
What do you
any
mean?
other universe?
What do you
Are
mean
there,
by that?
I mean, is there any other universe which doesn't follow this magnetic
No,
gravitational?
it cannot be created.
So there is no other. If we learn this, we master this, we have no problem with other universes.
With other universes. At the moment, we're trying to conquer the Earth to understand it.
Okay, so that's the only law of the universe which we know, which exists.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And the third one, there was last week that, but I got somehow the answer that even the stones, by the enhancement on the planet, they enhance, they educate, they elevate.
The state of the soul is understanding of the state of oneself.
I mean, the stones, I say.
The stones, you don't, put it this way, you don't expect a stone to, you reach mutation. You know, in Farsi you say, it depends, yes. It is how you elevate the soul to reach to what extent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the stones.
Even a stone has a soul, is in the writing of the holy writings.
Because I think I've heard that the souls which are not good, they might become like part of the stones for a long time before they get educated.
We can hear anything we like.
So there are the souls which become stones also, if they are not good people.
It doesn't mean just because you become a soul of a stone, you're not a good person. That is our, what do you call it, interpretation of what suits us.
Yeah. So, because the people who do bad, nobody punishes them. They go where?
We are not aware of their punishment, but in so many ways they find their own position.
They found their own position. That's correct. So you say that stones, by waiting long time, they might elevate.
Depends. If you believe in a transmutation of element, you change whatever to gold, which has a higher order strength, which means so even the iron can receive fields that in the strength of its fields can behave as a gold in respect to its environment. There is no limitation in elevation of the field, the strength of any entity.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day?
Sure, Mr. Keshe, sure.
Yeah. As we've seen today, we have started a new process for Keshe Foundation, where the knowledge and the technology will come directly to you. This is the time to start, and we support it. And the Keshe Foundation Austria, as a source of the technology, will develop and deliver. And it's now in the hand of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers to move. You wanted a system to be in your city. Now we facilitate it, we back it, and we develop it. And then maybe these systems, these centers become the center of excellence over time. But my advice to Universal Council members, Earth Council members, and Universal, what we call, enhancement units is try to be correct and try to distribute the technology equally across all planet and all the nations. And in so many ways, be impartial towards the language or a place of birth you come from. Look at the benefit to the totality than individual cities or being favored to one. And I'm sure the head of the Keshe Foundation, both of them will see this process through for development. We would love to see a number of cities in China to carry these systems. We would love to see a number of cities in Iran or the United States, and especially Brazil, to carry these systems. We make steps to see this through. And Keshe Foundation, as it receives more support from you, will deliver more to be done. And let's see what we can achieve. We have literally put the whole back into the foundation. And we'll see where the foundation will end up as one nation, one planet, one race. Maybe it's a good beginning. And on the other hand, in a very simple way today, we understand the principle structure of the creation from what I call inception to its final limit of observation as a body, be it a planet, be it plant, be it human body, or a stone, or water, or gas. Now we understand more the way that life is created in the universe. Thank you very much, and we see you next week with more knowledge. And as we head to 21st of October, we thereon will start teaching knowledge which has never been known by man. Opening of a space technology which adds to the enhancement of the knowledge and the soul of humanity. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for yet another Knowledge Seekers Workshop, 349th Knowledge Seekers Workshop today, Thursday,
Mamy koniec tłumaczenia na dzisiaj. W zasadzie koniec warsztatu 349. Jeśli ktoś chciałby zabrać głos lub ma pytanie jakieś, to postaramy się odpowiedzieć na nie. Jeśli nie ma pytań, to skończymy na dzisiaj i spotkamy się w czwartek Tak więc to były 407 warsztaty poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim z dnia niedzieli 18 października 2020 roku. Tak więc dziękuję za dzisiaj. Dobrej nocy i do usłyszenia.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom, to jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz. Że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej. By być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.